Hello friends, welcome to the channel DevOps Consultancy and Solution. In this video, we will learn about and explore Azure DevOps. Whether you are a beginner or experienced professional, this video will walk you through all the key features of Azure DevOps, including Azure board, repository, pipeline, test plan, and artifacts. By the end of this video, you will have a complete understanding of how to use the Azure DevOps to manage and automate your deployment workflow. So now the question is, what is Azure DevOps? So Azure DevOps is a cloud-based platform by Microsoft that provide a complete set of tools for software development, CI/CD automation, testing, and deployment. It it helps teams plan, deploy, test, and deliver their application faster and more efficient way. So Azure DevOps actually simplifies their software delivery by automating development workflow, improvement collaboration, and ensure high quality releases. Whether you are a developer, DevOps engineer, or project manager, Azure DevOps provide a powerful toolkit to streamline your end-to-end DevOps work processes. It allows organizations to create and improve product at faster pace than they are doing with traditional software development approaches. So what are the key components of the Azure DevOps? Or you can say what are the different core services of the Azure DevOps? So Azure DevOps for services, Azure board. Next is Azure repository, then Azure pipeline, Azure artifact, and Azure test plan. So what is Azure board? So Azure board is like your Jira tool where you can track and plan your project, whether in an agile way or in a scrum manner. You can create your project plan and track it. So next is the repository. So Azure repo means it where you can manage your source code management and its versioning. It's just like the git or the subversion. Next is the Azure pipeline. So Azure pipeline means where you can create your CI/CD automation for build and deployments. So next is the Azure artifacts. So Azure artifacts where you can manage your dependencies, manage your artifacts into the Azure artifact. So next is the Azure test plan. So in the Azure test plan, you can do manual and automated testing. So so basically Azure DevOps with these five core features or the services gives us a complete package where we can do the planning, we can do the source management, we can do our pipelines automation, repository management, and testing. So we can deliver our software faster way. So in the summary, so why we need to use the Azure DevOps? So first is all-in-one DevOps platform. As I explained you earlier, so it covers everything from planning to deployment, everything in a single platform on the Azure DevOps platform. Next is scalable. So it is highly scalable, right? So whether you are working in a small team or in a large enterprise team, so when we go through the agents and we see how the pipelines, then you can understand that whether your team is a small or a large, Azure DevOps is really helpful and you can scale your pipelines in and out in a very quick manner. Next is the cloud based. So it is because of it is a cloud based offering by the Microsoft. So it is really very easy to use. You don't need to install anything on your local or somewhere. You can by using it's a SaaS offering, so you can easily use it and do your planning, repository management, pipeline, artifact, and test management, everything in a single platform. So next is it support any language and platform. Whether you are working on a .NET or a Java or Python or Node.js application, it is really very easy to create your CI/CD pipeline in Azure DevOps. Whether you are using the Microsoft hosted agents or you are creating your own self-hosted agents. So next is the seamless integration. So we can do the seamless integration by connecting with various tools like GitHub, Terraform, Kubernetes, and other tools through the Azure DevOps. And next is the enhanced security and compliance. So it really helps to enhance your security and compliance by integrating it with the Intra ID, which is a Azure Active Directory, by the single sign-on or key vault or the policy management. So you can define, if you worked on the Azure portal, you can define your policies, and those policies you can implement here on the Azure DevOps also. Now let's go to the Azure DevOps portal and explore its various features and its services. And also, we can see the different organization and the project level settings in the Dev Azure portal. Right. So I already logged into my dev.azure.com, and I log in with my organization DevOps Consultancy and Solutions. So here you can see I have one organization name and one project. I have one project in my organization, which is the DevOps CNS.com. So when you click on the dev.azure.com, it will ask you your username and password. If you don't have your any account, you can create an account and log in with that. So similarly, if you can see here, I log in with my DevOps Consulting Solutions at gmail.com. So I can click here on the sign in with a different account and log in it with the different account, right? So in this portal, you can see, as I said, I have one organization. So if I go to the top left corner, here you can see the option new organization. So by clicking on the new organization, you can add the you can go to switch to the different organization, and in that organization you can have multiple projects. So if I click here on the new organization, it will go to the another sign up page. So it is asking me to sign up. I already have login with my account DevOps Consultancy and Solution. So you can click on the another account, use another account, and log in with another account. So if I go back to my main dashboard, so here you can see I have only one project, but on the top right corner there is an option to add the multiple projects. So if I show you here, so there is an option to add the new projects. If I click here on the new project, it will ask for the project name, its description, its visibility, whether you want to create that project as a public or a private. So right now I just selected the option private, but you can go for the public option also. The advanced option, here you can see the version control is the Git, and the work items you need to define whether you want to select the agile or basic or CMMI or Scrum. So what kind of project you want? You want the agile based project or the Scrum or the CMMI, change management, or the basic. So I selected the basic, but you can select any project type which you want. So this option is really helpful when you in your project, because in the project you have the multiple services like Azure board. So how your board will look like? Azure board will be agile based or the Scrum based or the change management based, or it's just a basic feature. So when I go to the deep dive into the Azure board video, so you can understand what does it mean, right? So here you can select your options and create the project. So in the bottom left corner, there is an option called the organization setting. So if I click on the organization setting, right? So this is the organization setting, which can define my name, my organization name, DevOps Consultancy and Solution. If I have any private URL, I can describe here, time zones, everything, and my organization usage limit. So right now, for my organization, I can have 1000 projects, but right now I am using only one, and I can define 150,000 work items, but I am not using any work item tag right now. So this is organization owner, and below is the option to delete the organization if you want. So in the left side, in the left panel, there are the various options available. So if this is the option for the projects, how many projects I have only one project right now. Then the users, how many users are there? So I have only one user which has the access level basic. So in the billing section, you can see I have defined the Microsoft hosted agent for 1800 minutes, and the self-hosted CI/CD I can have one free parallel jobs. Similarly, my plan, So currently I'm using the basic user. So 5 free basic users are free. So next is the basic plus test plan. So that I will use when I will go for the test plan video. I will explain you how we can switch to the test plan and how we can create the test plans, right? So default access level is the stakeholder. So here you can define your access level, whether stakeholder or basic, because I am the owner of this project, so I use this stakeholder, right? And similarly, below you can see here how many active committers are there right now. So I don't have any active committer right now, so I'm the only owner user. So I'm that's why that's why it is showing 0. And the below is the artifact details. Artifacts, when we in the any Azure product, there is a service called the Azure artifact, which is used to store and manage your artifact. So free is 2 GB. So I'm not using any much, so it is less than, it is showing less than 1 GB it is used, right? And next is the global notification. So here you can see there are different settings. You can define all the settings for the your notifications, like the build complete, it will go the notification to whom you want to send the notification, right? And similarly, code, when the pull request will be there, any pull request failure is there, and the extension management, if the extension is managed up, requested or modified. So pipeline running in stage, so all release pipelines, work items, so all these notifications you can define here. So in the subscriber, so I don't have any subscribers, so here you can see the statistics of those subscriber, and here the settings, right? So if I click on the usage, so it will show me the usage per user, how many user builds are completed in last 1 hour, so or in last 24 hours. So based on that, I can get all the details, right? And next is the extensions. So right now I don't have any extension. So if I click on the browse marketplace, which is on the top right corner, so here there are different extensions available. It open the new window. So I can select any free extension and install it, like the test feedback or the Terraform one or the Azure DevOps Open Excel or the Sonar Cube server. So based on my requirement, or even Azure DevOps CLI, so based on my requirement, I can use those extensions. Coming back to the organization settings, so here is the Microsoft Entra, required in a which is required in any organization to connect your Azure DevOps portal to the Entra ID for the SSO login. Right? The next is the security overview. So it will scan and let me know how many, if there is any vulnerability or security issue in my repository or in my project. So right now I don't have. So here you can define your policies, right? So like the third party application access or authentication. So it is disabled. SSH authentication, I enabled it. Security policies, I can enable it if I want. So it is saying, so are you sure you want to change the policy for allow public projects? I said save. So here I can invite the GitHub users if I want. So right currently I don't want to invite any GitHub users on my private project, right? So next is the permissions. So these are the different permissions defined by the Azure organizations. So these are the groups and these are the users. So right. So here I can click, I can create the different new, I can create a new group also and add the members in that group, right? So these are like project collection administrator, build administration, build service. So these are the different groups which are created in the Azure organization. So next is the organization settings for the Azure board. So as I was saying, I click here. So as I was saying, so there are 4 types of Azure boards are available. So in my organization, I have only one project which I'm using the basic one, right? So this is the basic one. So if I click here, So it will give me its drop down work items. So in the basic, there is an option called epic. I can define the issues and the task, and then the in that task I can define the test cases plan and the test suites. Backlog items or other options are there, and the project. So this it is assigned to only one project, right? So if I go back to the if I click on the agile, so in the agile you have the more work items like bug, epic, feature, issues, and the task test. So also you can have the test cases, test plan, test suites, and the user stories. Similarly, if I go to the scrum, so scrum also have bug, epic, features, impediment, and product backlog, and task, test case, test plan, and test suites. Similarly, if I click on the change management one, CMMI one, so it has different work items like bug, change request, epic, feature, issue, requirement, review, risk, task, test case, test plan, and test suites. So it all depend on your project requirement, what kind of project you want to define. So you can select that board while creating the project, right? So next is the agent pool in the pipelines. So this agent pool configurations are mainly required for the pipeline. So our pipeline will trigger on particular agent or the agent node, you can say. So these configurations are required at that time. So it has two types of not generally we have two types of agent pools. One is the Microsoft hosted and other is the self-hosted. So in the self-hosted you can have a single node or the single instance or the virtual machine skill set. So that we will cover in the next videos in where we can go into a deep dive of the what are the different types of the agent pools and how we can configure the self-hosted agent, how we can use the Microsoft hosted agents, and how we can create and use the virtual machine scale set agents. So next is the settings for the agent pools, and the next is the deployment pool. So we can define here the deployment pool means, let's say we have this separate virtual machines which are using we as a self-hosted agent, and logical deployment pool is a logical set of target of those machines. So where we can create a group, and when we run the pipeline we can define the deployment pool that we have created. So we can target our build pipeline to the deployment pool. So any machine which is available, build will run and complete it. So next is the option called the parallel jobs. So parallel jobs are, as I said, there are two types of agents. So one is a Microsoft hosted and the one another is a self-hosted. So currently in my project, so for the private project, I have the one free tier parallel job available for the Microsoft hosted and one parallel job for the self-hosted. And similarly for the public projects, I don't have any Microsoft hosted parallel job available, and I have unlimited parallel job for the self-hosted for my public projects. Okay, so now I will click on the repository settings. So if I click here on the repository settings, so here you can see there are the various options available for the repositories. See, first option is for the advanced security. So here you can click on the view billing and see the advanced security, what are it will impact on your billing, what are the various features you can explore and how your billing will impact, right? So it will go back to the billing section, right? But if we go to the repositories back again, so here whether you want to enable the advanced security for any new project, so I just make it off right now. Other are the below there are the options for the all repository settings. So Gravatar images, if you want to set any images for that, yes or no, you can select on and off. Default branch you can set for any new repository. So let's say you have implemented the multi-branching strategy and you want to set the default branch for any new repository. So that you can define here that automatically that branch will be set for that repository when the pipeline will trigger, it will use that branch. So if you don't exclusively mention that branch into the pipeline repository details, then that branch will automatically pick it up. Disable creation of FVF repository. So I make it on. So I disabled it. So when you create the project, you have seen that in the version control there was only one option available, was the Git. So if I make it off, then TFVF TFVC repositories option that will also be available in that project options, right? So below is the storage, artifact storage options. So in the artifact storage, so these settings are organization settings are common for all the projects, right? So here you can check your storage pricing, storage reduction and billing analysis here, because right now I am not using the Azure repository, so that's why everything is zero or nothing. I don't have any package here, so those are the default settings. But you can set the settings, organization settings here for the repository and the artifacts that will be implemented across all your projects, right? So now I will go to the project settings and explore what are the various features or options available for the project. So if I click here on the project, right, so in the left side, in the left panel, you can see these are the various services which are available. One is overview. So here you can see the summary of the overview. We can create the dashboards here. So in the next videos, I will create a dedicated video on each and every service, so you can learn about each and every service in detail and in depth. So here we can create the multiple dashboards, right? And this is the wiki. This is just like your Confluence page. You can create your wiki pages for your own project. So this is for the board, where you can see the multiple options are available, like work item, board, backlog, sprint. So if I click here, so right now I'm not using it any board, so everything is empty, so there is no work item here, right? So we can define here the sprints, we can define here the queries. Based on the query I can get the data about my board. So next is the repository service. Repository service is basically to create your Azure repository, like your Git repository. You can create multiple repositories in your project, so where you can commit and check in your code. So next is the pipeline service. Pipeline service is basically for your CI/CD pipeline, where you can run your CI build and the CD builds, or you can run even your one build which can do the CI and the CD part. So in this you can define the environments and the library settings, everything. So next is for the test plans. So test plan is for the automated or the manual testing, right? So you can create your test plans, you can check the progress reports, so you can run the automated plans and everything you can do. So next is the artifacts. So in the artifact server, you can publish your artifacts, or even you can pull the artifacts from the external world, right? So in this project, you can see in this dashboard, this is the default dashboard. So here I have a 0 pull request right now, and I have two commits. So in this dashboard, you can see how many builds are done in the pipelines, how many commits are done, and how many members are part of this project, active members, right? So in the below left corner, there is a option for the project setting. So if I click here on the project setting, so this is the default overview page of the project, right? So my project name is defined here. What is my plan? It is the basic plan is there. Project administrator, who is the administrator? I can add the multiple administrator here for that project. And what are the services enabled for this project, right? So let's say you created a project, any dummy project or the POC project, and you don't want to give the permissions for pipelines or the artifacts to the team member. So you can disable those services here, and he or she can test with other services in that project, right? So in the left panel, you can see there are the different options, like the teams is available. So there is only one team, DevOps CNS team is available right now. So you can add the multiple teams here. So in the left right corner, there is an option called the new team. So you can create here the different team. So next is the permission settings. So here you can define the permissions for your project. Earlier we have seen the permissions for the organization. So here you can see the permissions for your project. You can create the new group and add those permissions. Next is the notification. Similarly, these are the notification for your projects. So next is the service hook. So service hook is basically to, you can integrate it with your different services for notification. Let's say you want to integrate your Azure DevOps with the Microsoft Teams or the Slack. So you can do the integration of the service. Those hooks can be done here. You can create a new subscription, create a subscription and do the configuration integration here in this part. So next is the dashboard. So here you can see the setting for the dashboard service, whether you want to create the dashboard, edit and delete dashboard. So below is the settings for the board, Azure board, for that particular project. So right now in this Azure project configuration, I have only one sprint. So here I can set the dates for the starting date and the end date for that sprint. I can add the new sprint here, right? Its start and the end date. So next is the team configuration. So in the team configuration, you can see there is an option back, because this is a basic plan. So here this is for the epics and the issue, and the working days are the Monday to Friday, right? So I can define here the iteration because it's only the one sprint. So here also I can add the sprint here. So I can, whatever sprint I created in the project configuration, I can select that sprint into the team's backlog. Right. So next is the GitHub connection. So let's take an example. You don't want to use the Azure repository. You want to use your own GitHub repository. So here you can do the connection of your GitHub with your Azure board. So when the pull request will be created, so it will automatically attach to your Azure board that task. Or if any new task is created, that you can assign it to the particular repository also. So those settings can be done here. So below are the settings for the pipelines. So here you can again define the agent pools. So whatever the agent pools you want to run, you want to use for that particular CI/CD pipeline. So you can add the pools, whether you want to create the Microsoft hosted agent pool or you want to use the self-hosted agent, right? So below is the parallel jobs, how many parallel jobs are there. Those configuration settings are same like the organization settings. So next is the settings. Those settings are for basically your artifacts and the keep running builds, pull requests, for how long you want to retain those things. Like you want to number of days your artifact and symbol and attachment will be, you want it is for the 30 days. I want to keep any build running up to for 30 days. If any build is running and it's stuck somewhere, let it be running for 30 days. Generally there is no such build which is running more than 2 to 3 hours, but there are few builds like performance testing or the load run testing. Those builds are running up to 7 to 8 hours, sometimes very rare, but not more than a day, right? So there are a few. Next is the pull request run. So that for how long you want to keep that request, that is for the 10 days. So there are different settings and the configuration that you can go through and see, define for your project. Next is the test management. In the test management, the faulty test detection will be done into the Azure pipeline. So if there are any faulty test cases is there, so it will be detected, right? And I selected here, it will for all the pipelines. These are the default settings. Normally we don't change them, but if you want to change, you can customize your detection based on your requirement, right? So next is the service connection. So service connection is like I have done the connection with my Azure subscription, or if the service hook, if I'm using any GitHub, so I have to make the service connection with the GitHub. So those all the service connection are available here. So next is the XML build service. So there I'm not using that one. So but when you use the XML build service, so those services and everything will be defined here. So next is for the Azure repository. So right now I have these 8 to 10 repositories available. So all the repositories will be, you can see, define this, you can change the settings or the configuration for those repositories. Like you advanced security you want to enable, or default branch name you want to set, those things you can create, you can define here for particular repository or for all the repositories. And below is the configuration for the Azure artifacts. I'm not using the Azure artifact storage, so that's why everything is 0. But here you can see the detailed outcome, how many packages I'm using, how what is the storage is there. You can see the storage breakdown here. You can see your storage pricing and reduction. How can you do the reduction also? And next is the test retention. So when you do run the pipeline and the test cases, for how long you want to use those test cases at output save. So that is for the 30 days for the automated test cases, and by default is the 365 days for the manual test cases, result manual test runs and its results and its attachments. Right. So these are the project settings for the any project. Right. So if I go back to the organization setting, so in the top right corner, if you can see here, these are the user settings. So I can define here, I can see here my user settings. These are the profile. I can define, update my profile, time zone. I can define here the permissions and the notification. If I click here on the permissions, so right now there is only one user. So that's why I don't need to reevaluate my permissions, but you can reevaluate your permissions if you have the multiple users in your organization. And below is the notification. So here you can see the notification to whom you want to send and how. Here you can see, check the status. You can do the, the on and off. If you want to disable the notification, here you can see everything is going to the DevOps Consultancy and Solution at gmail.com. So next is the theme, whether you want a dark theme, a light theme, everything that is up to you, your requirement. So next is the usage, how my usage currently for my project. So here you can see the usage. Basically this is for the reporting purpose. You can save that for download that report for your local. It will out, you can save into the CSV format, right? And so below is the personalized access token. So here you can see all the personal access token, whether it is for your GitHub repository, whether it is for the Azure, whether it is for the agent pools, anything. So here, whatever all the tokens, how many tokens are there? So I have 3 tokens, out of which 2 are revoked and 1 is active. So here you can click on the new token and create the new token also. So here you can click the name, your organization name. If you have multiple organizations, you can select here the different organization. For how long you want to keep that token, 30 days, 60 days, or customized, you can define your custom definition also. And also you can define here the full access, whether you want to give the full access or the custom access. So in the custom access, work item should be read access, write access, and the source code will be similarly repository, pull request notification. So everything will be, you can define here. Right. Here is the below scope, agent pools, analytics. So you can just check all the everything, different details, how you want to define the access control for that personal access token. Right. And below is for the SSH key. So here you can, right now there is no key, so but you can create your own key here, which is required for the your Git repository through the public SSH public key. So next is the authorized auth app. So right now I don't have any authorized app. So if I want to register the new app, so I can click here and it will go to the register button, and here you can fill the app. Here you can fill the details and what kind of app you want to use, what are the features, authorized scope you want to define. So everything you have to give all, you have to go through this page, give all the details, required details, and then submit the request, create the application. Right. So if I click back on it, so this was the overview of the Azure DevOps portal, how it looks like, different services where, and the organization and the project setting, how you can define and see. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you have understand about the Azure DevOps and its feature, how it look like and its various configuration settings. Now we will go deep dive in each of the service and learn about it. Let me know your feedback or feel free to ask any question in the comment section below or send an email at devopsconsultancy@gmail.com. See you all in next video. Till then, happy learning and keep learning.